Excellent. Thank you so much, Jessica. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Hamlet of Beavercreek board meeting. It is February 16th on 2023, and it is 7 o'clock p.m. is the call to order time. This meeting is being conducted via Zoom, so it is being recorded. And if anyone has any comments or questions, please use the raise hand feature, or certainly the chat feature works really nicely as well. We have many new guests, so this is very exciting. I'd like to do some introductions to begin. My name is Tammy Stevens, and I chair the board of the Hamlet of Beavercreek. And Bill Merchant, if you'll wave. Bill is our vice chair. And Cheryl, if you'll wave. Cheryl Buchert is our treasurer. And Jessica is our secretary and corresponding secretary and Zoom guru. And we have several directors at large. Joe Matteo, if you would wave. And Rachel Wingle, you just see her name there because she has a little one on her lap suffering from an illness. And we also have a Mark Hilliard and Kenny Cernak, directors at large. They may pop in, they may not. So Mark will, it'll just be a little later. And that all being said, we are ready to hear David from your group. Would you like to all introduce yourselves, and you're here to talk with us this evening about the Beavercreek Child and Family Services?
Well, I'm happy to start the intros. I'm Simon Fulford. I'm the Executive Director of Beavercreek Child and Family Services. And I'll pass to Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh Shelton. I'm Principal Architect at Eldorado Architects here in Portland. And we've been working with Beavercreek on the new campus design and the kind of new implementation strategy. So,
Sophie.
Hi, I'm Sophie. Work at Eldorado Architects as the project director for Beavercreek, and here to help present what we have for you. David?
Yeah, I'm David Suttle. We met a month ago, and good to see you again. Thanks for having us here tonight. We've got about I think a 7 or 8 minute presentation for you, and then we'll open it up to questions.
we should also say, I think Joe Schwenk from Audrey Development, who's been working alongside Beavercreek and Eldorado, is trying to join. I just got a text he's having technical difficulties, so he may join midstream, and if he does, we'll welcome him into the presentation.
Is someone able to screen share?
I can do that if you'd all like.
Sure.
Jessica, do you need to? Oh, no, it's working. Wow.
Is it coming out okay?
Yeah. And
Okay.
Simon, I'm happy to cover Joe's slides if you'd like.
Josh, do you want to kick us off then?
Sure. So, I think what we're mainly here to do is bring you up to speed with what we're thinking. And I think within this, we want to touch on some key themes, but also just sort of reinforce that we're sort of working within the character of the existing campus and trying to kind of bring it up to speed for kind of a new generation of students. So I think with that, we can just sort of jump right in. Next slide. So yeah, just general orientation. And I think you all are as much familiar with this as we would ever be, but we just wanted to sort of lead off by saying that we love the site. We love your rural community, and we love the pristine landscape that the site affords to Beavercreek. So we're very well aware of kind of where we are and the kind of existing community that we're operating within here. So next slide. Yeah, just zooming in, just showing as much as anything the watershed of Parrot Creek and the kind of existing ecosystems, both constructed and natural, that are around that. So next slide. You know what? One of the interesting things about the site is the diversity of site ecologies and habitat. We're working with a meadow and a wetland, an upper meadow, a forest, and it's truly kind of a remarkable site. And I think, you know, built into how we're thinking about the design of the new campus is really leveraging what the site offers as a rural environment. So there are partnerships in place that talk about stewardship of the land and extend to education initiatives to the kids. But I did want to sort of point out that one of the challenging puzzles is that there's very little flat land on the site, and you can see the existing buildings are sort of huddled around the kind of flat area there, creating a courtyard of sorts. And you'll see that as we're thinking about new, you know, design upgrades, we're adhering to kind of that same idea that you're kind of circling around the flat contours. So, and Simon, please jump in here and maybe
yeah.
Next slide. Yeah, talk a little bit about the organization.
So next slide, Sophie. So Parrot Creek has been here in Clackamas County and right on that site since 1968. And personally, what I really love about the kind of genesis story of Parrot Creek is that we were founded as a nonprofit out of a citizen-approved bond measure, a levy back in 1968, which allowed the county initially to purchase the 80 acres of land. And we were set up as a nonprofit to run the first residential programs for youth on that site. And they were an alternative program to prevent youth from being sent to correctional facilities, but to provide a nature-based campus, school, what in those days they referred to as a ranch or ranch. And that's really, we evolved out of being set up to run the first programs there and have remained on site running residential care and treatment programs for youth ever since. In the community, we've grown, you know, over the 55 years, a number of community-based programs. And all of our work works holistically with a lot of love and care with children and families who are very system involved, facing many traumas, what are referred to as adverse childhood experiences. And we wrap our arms around them in a number of programs to really help them build skills, heal from those histories of trauma, and then go on hopefully to have lives fulfillment and success. And on the site here, we're called Parrot Creek because of the beautiful Parrot Creek that runs through the property, and we're located at the end of South Parrot Creek Road. And we currently work with 20 youth on average about on their own site across 2 types of programs. And then I'll leave it at that because I think we'll kind of get into some of the more detail about the site and the renovations through the next slides. And I'll take as many questions as you want about our work.
I'm going to pause this here for a little bit. I do see that Joe Swank is on now. So if you want to introduce yourselves and maybe do the next couple slides.
Thank you, Sophie. Sorry I was late, everybody. I had to switch to hotspot on my phone. My internet just decided to stop working, but appreciate your time here. And I think, like Sophie mentioned, I'm development manager, owner's representative for Parrot Creek, and working with El Dorado and Parrot Creek on this great kind of improvement for their campus.
So next slide.
Yeah, so I mean, I think one thing we wanted to touch on quickly is, you know, in many ways, this is a restorative justice project. You know, I think the focus certainly is on, you know, being very attentive and sensitive to teenage boys who have suffered from trauma, and we're thinking about design strategies that address that mission. And so we, at the very beginning, we kind of created 5 pillars that we often return to and sort of ask ourselves, how are we doing, and you know, and how successful are we at meeting, you know, at meeting these goals. So let kids be kids. That's been a theme throughout. Site stewardship, responsible land stewardship. We want the facility to be true to its roots and it be you know, efficient and cost effective and practical, durable. Also flexible, adaptive, and resilient over time, so that the facility can evolve in the future, and then really kind of address the kind of healing and restorative aspects of education for this youth demographic. So, next slide. Joe, do you want to just kind of step in here, and you spent a lot of time walking the site, maybe kind of walk us through the existing.
This is an aerial view of Parrot Creek's kind of existing area now. Their current complex involves 5 buildings that were built kind of ad hoc over a period of time. None of them necessarily purpose built for the way Parrot Creek operates now in treatment of their youth. And a lot of them have some very severe deferred maintenance, as well as some old some buildings that don't meet current codes and other things relative to earthquake and other things. So really just Parrot Creek's looking to try to improve these buildings and build themselves a new campus so their residents can thrive. The oldest building on campus is the original farmhouse, which I believe is from the 40s, and the other buildings were built kind of in sequence up until the 80s, all about a decade apart. And you'll see that all the new facilities kind of occur in this same zone. We're not expanding beyond kind of where those buildings currently sit. It's about the only flat spot in the entire 80 acres. So, and the area that you're looking at now is about 5 acres that encompasses the building area of the 80.
And so maybe what I can do is take you through some drawings that Eldorado's been working on, and we'll end with a few renderings of the vision, the kind of the big idea around the improvements to the site and the campus. So this is the existing, and you know, it's basically a very simple courtyard scheme that opens to the south and the west. You'll see that there's a kind of a residential building that is to the north. There's a school that's really just kind of a more of a temporary structure than not, and it's kind of at the end of its life for sure. There's an admin building that addresses the approach from the parking, and it's where you're greeted, and then the outdoor basketball court down that opens up to the recreational field. If we go to the next slide. And so what we, kind of our big idea was that we work with what we've got, and we acknowledge kind of what's working about the campus. And what we determine what's working about the campus is that the flat area of the site really kind of serves as a programmable courtyard. And so what we thought we could do with the new scheme is to really surround that courtyard with the core active elements. So the dining, kind of the administrative and faculty and teaching components, and also the school, which is the yellow, the orange, and the green respectively. And then you can see we're kind of flanking that with residential dorms. The building to the far east is more residential with an administrative component that's really kind of a welcome center for new visitors and partnerships, and really it's kind of the home base for some of the site stewardship initiatives. So the campus is in whole constructed to accommodate 40 students. I think right now the capacity is more kind of in the mid-20s. So it's upping the capacity of Parrot Creek a bit, but we're in doing so. I've always learned from rural environments actually, as an architect. I've always loved like farmsteads and how farmers lay out kind of buildings in relation to one another, spaces between. And so we're thinking about the breezes from the southwest. We're thinking about how you block undesirable colder winds. We're thinking about deep overhangs for protection, porches, spaces to hang out outside for students and faculty, but all the while keeping the scale of the buildings kind of low height and compatible with the scale of the existing buildings on site today. So maybe if we go to the next slide.
And actually, Josh, before you
Yeah,
do,
go ahead.
One quick comment on the number of students. So they're currently 27 that they're licensed for, and the expansion is intended for 40. But you'll notice that the footprint of some of the buildings grew quite a bit, and a lot of that is particularly in that living blue color that you saw.
Can you go back?
And a lot
Sophie,
of that goes from a shared dormitory space currently to single occupancy rooms, which will minimize the kind of the issues that a lot of the youth have and a lot of the incidents that occur on site and on the campus. So that's the big push, I think, for Parrot Creek relative to what wasn't working previously. Anyway, thanks, Josh. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. And so now just, we always call these the pretty pictures, but what we're trying to work with is kind of a residential scale that is maybe extended in length a bit to accommodate different uses and have these connected porches and indoor outdoor walkways that connect one part of the facility to the next. So it really does have that sort of campus feel, but it's intimate in scale. We're keeping the height low. It reads primarily as a single story facility from parking level and approach. Of course, as the grade drops, we're able to kind of build into the land a lower story for some of the buildings, which actually in one building in particular hosts a series of therapy rooms. And you'll see that really the idea is kind of a tranquil and peaceful sort of structure where there are kind of these transitions from indoor to outdoor that are gradual. And we've done a lot of research with trauma-informed design, and this helps kids kind of self-regulate as they're going from one activity to the next. The transitions are never abrupt. They're all very gradual, thoughtful. And this is a view of that kind of flat courtyard space where, different kind of learning initiatives can take place. And I think there's maybe one more slide. And there are these moments that are quite nice where the ground falls away and we're able to kind of have these elevated spaces that look out to the landscape. And these are the ends of the residential structures that open into a shared living room for the students. So this is where the students would be able to convene at the end of the day, watch a movie together or play games, do puzzles, that kind of thing. And each one has a large bay window that you can kind of sit in and occupy and look out to the meadow and the creek beyond. So we're trying our best to kind of take advantage of what the site, the beauty of the site offers with how these spaces culminate. So that's a good summary of the proposed improvements. We're really thrilled to share this with you all, and we're happy to kind of share this site with you all as well. So yeah, Simon, go ahead. You should probably wrap us up.
I won't wrap this up, but I can share a lot about our treatment philosophy and the work and the sort of why of why we've instigated redeveloping the campus, the slight increase in the number of youth. I don't know, Joe, if we mentioned the difference between our proposed number and the previous land use approvals. But there's a lot of rationales for why we're doing certain things that Josh very much spoke to in the design elements, but the design really helps the treatment side of things with the kids we work with. And Tammy, I'm not going to, you're the chair, but you've got your hand raised.
That's all right. No, you're on the floor. I guess, I mean, it's gorgeous, and all of this would happen at once. So that's huge. But the thing I'm missing there is no orchards and no gardens and no livestock, no goats and sheep and horses. And I was really surprised by that. I expected to see all that. And part of it is I ride horses with a friend who is really into doing therapy with especially teenagers, and they come to her little farm and they pet goats and they gather eggs and they ride horses, and it's huge. It's her passion. And so, as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to be sending her to you, Simon. So
Yes, please.
that being said, tell me maybe why.
Well, one of our therapists would love us to do equine therapy, and I think it is a future vision, possibly. I'm sure your friend can tell you just how expensive it is to care for horses, and apparently most of our government contracts wouldn't pay even a cent of that. But what I guess what we really focused on the buildings there. We currently there is a vegetable garden that the kids kind of regrow every spring, and really the piece about the nature and animals, we do that out on the 80 acres on the rest of the land. We have an on-staff cultural ecologist. She does weekly nature walks with the kids. She does a lot of environmental education about learning about the flora and fauna. The boys have put up trail cameras, and so they monitor the animals that come visit. They see the coyotes. We have a beaver in Parrot Creek there, the raccoons, the deer. So we do a lot of that out in the land, as opposed to kind of up on. We use the courtyards and the space around the buildings is very much for their living, their learning, their therapy, and then the nature part is really out. Really in the woods and down by the creek and things like that.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I can really see that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions from the directors? Anyone? Wow. Very, very kind of you to bring this. I know I spoke with David about that. I believe you all know we are advisory to the planning department of Clackamas County. And so we assume we'll be seeing at some point an application coming through. And wow, this is a big step up in understanding where you are and where you'd like to be and how we can certainly support that effort. Jessica.
Yeah, thank you very much for that presentation. That was really interesting. Mostly I want to hear maybe a little bit more about like how you guys got started. Like what was the inspiration for this type of effort? So mostly I'm just curious about that.
How we got started on this particular project?
The Parrot Creek facility that you have there. Like I'm just a little curious about its origins.
Oh, its origins.
Yes.
Very, very much as this view in the late 60s, some of the kind of civic leadership, I think it was a couple of the county commissioners at the time, some folks at the juvenile department and sort of the social services, very much wanted, they were seeing youth who were getting into trouble, having trouble at home, and ending up down at McLaren, if you know McLaren Youth Correctional Facility in Woodburn, and very much wanted to have an alternative to that. That would be not incarcerative in its feel, not a prison facility, and where kids who were from Clackamas County could stay close to home, where their families could visit them a lot more easily, and really have a different approach to working with youth who were struggling. And so I would say at the time, very forward thinking was to have the taxpayers pay for it. So they put a measure that purchased the 80 acres of land. But the forward thinking piece was that they didn't set it up that the county would run the program, but that Parrot Creek, we were set up as an independent nonprofit so that we had that autonomy to develop and run the programs for the kids, and not have the constraints that often we know that county government and state government, all governments have a lot of constraints, and sometimes things can't evolve and adapt as quickly and effectively as private, nonprofit, or for-profit businesses can. So that's
Hey,
our sort
Simon?
of genesis. Yeah.
From our director, Rachel Ringel, she has a question. How long does each child live there? Is it a school year rotation, or are they're like from this age to this age? Basically, I'd like to know how
Yeah.
the system operates.
That's really good question. So currently, and this one, the age demographic is 13 to 19. A child can't come to us over the age of 18, but they can stay with us through their 19th birthday if their kind of treatment requires. Typically, the kids that are coming there are sort of the 14 to 16, 17, and then some of them, will stay on. The average length of stay is about 7 to 12 months. And some of them, the longest is 18 to 20 months. And it really, again, depends on the kind of treatment needs, and really about a lot to do with, their histories of trauma, and how long I'll work with them to help them heal and develop, kind of skills to be safe and successful in the community. And currently we only can work with boys, male youth, given the kind of construction of the buildings, and really the vision was, and Joe, I see your hand there. The vision of what we want to create is a facility that is much more responsive to the needs of kids and the treatment needs, and that's really been a great working with the El Dorado team on bringing in those trauma-informed design principles. And we would talk about what we know the kids need, and El Dorado translated that into beautiful spaces for them. And then the other one is to be able to work with kids with different types of needs. So we don't have girls on site. We would love to be able to have a potential unit that is just for girls. It would be separate and all those things, but we can't do that currently because everything's kind of squeezed on top of each other. You might know, you don't have to even open the papers to know, Oregon is reeling from a substance use crisis, and the mental health crisis in children and teenagers. And again, we would like to be able to respond to those needs with specific types of treatment that kids might need in this decade, but they won't need that in another decade. And we can keep adapting our services. Whereas right now, the buildings kind of hamper what we can sometimes do to respond to the needs of kids in our communities. Joe.
What kind of success rate do you have?
I love that question. Good question. So our success rate, we get this figure from the Oregon Youth Authority. So our measure of their success measure is youth who reoffend. And we currently have a 88% who don't reoffend when they leave Parent Creek. And that is about twice as good, it depends which way you want to do your statistics. The statewide average, so that's an average of 12% who do reoffend, and the statewide average is about 24-25% of youth. So we're twice as good, if that's one way of saying it. I don't quite know how that works. About 67% we measure treatment progress. About 67% of our youth achieve all their treatment goals. And we've started using an accredited sort of outcome measure, and that's where youth self-report on how they feel they're progressing. And over 92% of youth self-report that they believe they're making progress in their own treatment.
But Joe, were you asking about success rate for kids or success rate for creating beautiful new architecture? I didn't quite understand the question.
Well played, well played.
El Dorado has 100% success rate on that.
I was ready to jump in and give you all kinds of metrics, but I guess Simon answered your question.
Rachel was curious about how you see this expansion impacting the community. I mean, obviously, probably a little more transportation, but can you speak to that, please?
Joe, you can speak to that. I think
Simon,
you've done more of the
maybe I
analysis.
can take. Well, the real question, the broader community and our youth, I think Simon touched on really well, is that it's impacting in a very positive way, training those youth, into productive of community and productive members of society.
Hey, Joe,
as far as
Joe, if you can hear me,
am I
maybe.
Yeah, maybe
Turn your-
try turning your camera off.
Okay, can you all?
Kind
No,
of a
Yeah.
weak,
No,
no.
well, I can try not, Joe's done more of this analysis for us, but I will jump in. So our current licensed capacity, which is where we're licensed from the state, as how many kids we can care for on site, is 27. So it's about a third increase on our license capacity. We did have a land use decision back in 2011, which authorized us, when we had initially thought of doing a kind of renovation project, and that had initially allowed us a land use decision to increase that capacity to 48.
oh,
But we've in the interim years, we've decided that's too many. It wouldn't be appropriate for the site, and just even, you know, the limited amount of the kind of flat space, and we just don't think 48, 50 kids there would at all be appropriate for their needs, above anything else. So the idea of going to 40 is about a third more than with current capacity. And it has a small increase, and I wish Joe, if he can get back on, you know, obviously there's more staff who would be caring for the kids in proportion to that. And our ratio is about 5 youth per staff member during the daytime, and that drops down to about 9-10 kids per staff member overnight.
Cheryl?
I'm curious about whether or not you also have volunteers to assist you in your facilities.
In a limited capacity, so we do, and we have volunteers in some different ways. The limited element is it's quite intense treatment that we, you know, the lives of the kids are quite intense and the needs. So it's not the type of programming where, you know, people can just kind of drop in, as it were. It's not kind of like a youth club where you might come in on every afternoon and do an art project or something. So we do have volunteers. They're folks who normally are making sort of a longer term, more intensive commitment because the work is more intensive. We do then do kind of volunteer days. Funny enough, in 2 weeks, we have a business group of volunteers coming out to help do some of our trails in the woods. They're helping us lay down bark chips and things like that. We sometimes do volunteers that, you know, that might help with some of the cleanup and keeping things, you know, looking neat and tidy. We have community volunteers that make birthday cakes for the kids. We have quilters who donate quilts and things like that.
I think definitely learning more and sharing with the community is in order here. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much. It was such an honor to meet you all. I just wanted to note that Joe mentioned they do see an impact of about an additional 5 staff. And residents are continuously on site, so do not add trips or traffic to or from the site. So it should be minimal impact, which is good, because as we all know, our roads suck. So we want to minimize that a bit. But
Yeah, well, we're definitely
wonderful.
keeping the existing alignment in terms of approach and the way people enter the site and everything. The site circulation is staying exactly the same. So nothing's changing on that side of things at all.
Great, great, great.
Yeah.
When do you see submitting the application to the county?
We have a pre-application meeting next week.
Oh,
on
good.
the
Okay,
On the
pre-app.
22nd. Yeah.
Excellent, great,
And we'll get the application in as soon as we can after that.
great.
You
Well,
are
thank you all. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you're all very welcome to come visit.
We would love to do that. I think
Any
we should organize a field trip. Simon, would I do that through you or would I
Yeah.
do that through David?
Yeah,
Through
no,
you,
do
Simon?
that through
Great.
me.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. I have your email here, address here,
Yeah.
so I'll just utilize that to connect. That would be wonderful.
That'd be great.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to say goodnight. You're absolutely welcome to stay on and see what the heck we do here. But we really, really thank you all for being here and chatting and getting us up to speed. And How exciting and congratulations. I hope.
Well,
it
thanks
goes
for
well.
having us.
Oh,
Thank you so
absolutely.
much.
Mhm. Good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, we are not going to have Bruce Powell visit with us this evening. He is not feeling well. So that was the plan, all in all, was that he was going to come on and talk about what's been going on in the last month. So let's move on to land use applications. I did send a land use app Z0042-23. It's a renewal of a temporary home for care. I did get a chance to peruse it and didn't see anything too crazy. I'm learning, because Bill's teaching me, to get on Google Earth and kind of zoomed in to make sure this wasn't some humongous compound. It doesn't look like that. It's a home with the manufactured home just before you get to the house. We've seen this application before. So I think unless anyone has a burning question or concern about it, we should just present it to the community next week. And I'll be sure to invite the applicant. All the land use activities and decisions are there. There's 1, 2, 3 approval subject to condition, but there's actually a 4th one. I emailed that to you today. A lot happened today. That was Z0389-22. That was the app that we got right after the last community meeting and before the board met. And instead of doing an emergency thing, we just let it slide and it was approved, subject to conditions. But it was also a temporary home for care renewal. So nothing earth shattering. The one thing I wanted to mention, in case any of you would care to join or can join, is we're back at the Karis School, which is giving me many, many, many gray hairs. Bill? Anyway. It's continuing to move forward. We are going into another historic review board hearing on March 9th. And that's really to just visit with where is the applicant that would like to take the building and any concerns or comments there, because the clock is ticking and they need to make sure this is going to happen. And then it goes on to the Board of County Commissioners on March 22nd. So I'll be in attendance, just there to answer any questions sort of thing. There is still the Plan A, which is the building going to Maxburg Street Road. Plan B, which is if that falls through, keeping it within the hamlet, is continuing to be discussed and lots of information being shared. The current Plan B is that Emirates would move it and mitigate it, meaning lead and asbestos, and that now it looks like it would go kitty corner to the Snyder's Ranch. It's that where they have a bazillion Christmas trees there every year. That's the Snyder family, Gary and Matt and Daniel, right? Before you get to the old schoolhouse, come back a block and it's on the left. That millions of trees go out of there. So that's under consideration at this point. The father would love to have it. The sons are like, oh, please, Dad, don't do this to us. So under discussion. So I'll keep you posted on the Karis School. Hi, Mark. Glad you made it. You missed our Parrot Creek presentation. It was really, really good, but maybe we'll get them to share the PowerPoint presentation and I can send that on to you. Great. Okay, Cheryl, thank you so much for sending the treasurer's report as usual. Anything that you'd like to add or bring up?
I don't have anything to add to it. I think I just want to point out that the only transaction that has happened this last month, the PGE bill, I think that is the last one that should reflect the Christmas tree being lit. And all in all, as compared to last year and years before, those bills are really far, far less than what they have been in the past.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that has something to do with the type of bulbs. They're more efficient, right, Mark? Yeah. Yeah,
Great. Anything else for tonight, Cheryl?
yeah.
Oh,
The businesses within the hamlet of Beavercreek. I think I'm gonna reach out to county staff and see if they can provide to me a comprehensive list of the home occupancy approvals that have happened within, say, the last 2 or 3 years. Those may add to that list if those home occupancy businesses do not have to get a license through the state.
Mhm.
And I really don't want to sit and go through old minutes about approvals for those and compare them. So I thought I'd just let the county do the work for me and give me that information. Because I
And
think,
honestly, Cheryl, an email to Holly Krecky.
yeah,
I think I've sent several requests to her so far, and I have received immediate responses.
oh, great, wonderful, wonderful.
Yep.
The other thing I want to talk about is our sign-in process. If we're short on time, I can table this until next month.
Oh, it's
But-
on the agenda later because we do need a registrar, but we can talk about it right now, not a problem.
I don't, well, I'm just gonna throw some thoughts out and then we can discuss it a little later in the agenda. The amount of data that I inherited from when William was doing it, as compared to, the amount of data that Jessica is retrieving for those who video chat. Longevity in retaining records. Those are my two really big concerns at this point. So we can talk about that later.
Okay.
The other thing that I need to talk about, and I'm going to share my screen with you, is after the last meeting, I became painfully aware that we're at the end of what had been the last of my food truck supplies, hot cups, stir sticks, and all those supplies. And I need approval for, oh gosh, Jessica. Oh, here we go. I'm gonna share this. I hope you can see it.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Can you, I hope you can hear me.
Mhm.
All right. I need to buy, this is, I'm sure gonna go over $50 is why I am presenting a budget for this. You need to buy coffee grounds, more cold cups, creamer, hot cups, stir sticks. And the one thing that got damaged and destroyed when our what is that out in the park that
Oh,
our
the storage shed.
storage shed got broken into was our donation box.
Oh,
So to replace that is going to be in upwards of $20. And I don't know if we need to replace it, if anyone has any other ideas on something that could be used for a donation box.
I think I have one downstairs, Cheryl, in my Hamlet area. Can I go ahead and look at that? But in the meantime, I'd like to make a motion that you get what you need for our hybrid meetings up to $100.
Okay,
Oh, and Bill is his hand up. I'm so sorry, Bill. Bill.
Well, first off, of those coffee grounds, maybe there's something in a can and we can cut a hole in the top of the can and that can be the donation box. But I would like to second the motion.
Thank you, Bill. And I think that's kind of what we have downstairs. It's a rectangle box with a hole in it. But it says the word donation. So we definitely want to do that. And so any further discussion on the motion? Okay, would you all use your raise hand feature if you are in favor of this motion? Oh. And Mark is finding his raised hand. Cheryl's got hers up. I think we
I can't-
probably, there we go. We have a unanimous in favor. Excellent. Anything else, Cheryl?
Just one quick thing.
Uh-huh.
We talked briefly I don't know, a month or so ago about someone to shadow me. Was that Joe that volunteered to do that? Okay. All right. You and I are gonna talk, Joe. I'm gonna send you some information. Thanks. That's all I have tonight.
Excellent. Well, and if you come up with something else, raise your hand, Bill.
So, Cheryl, I just had a question about the home occupation permits. A lot of those people don't actually do business out of their home. And I don't know if they'd want to be listed in a home, on a business listing, because, you know, they might not want to do business commercially. They might want to do it sort of on the side. And, you know, even though they have a permit to do business, they don't have a class 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it is to do it. So they might not want to let anybody know that they're actually doing whatever kind of business it is they're doing. So I just want to throw that back out there at you, so that, you know, there might be people who, you know, have some sort of business. Like, I think there's a guy near me that does massage therapy, but he doesn't want to have people coming to his house for massage therapy. And, you know, that's the kind of thing that I was just thinking about. So
You
I
have a red light out front. Okay, I'm just kidding. No, that's a really, really good point. And we might want to communicate, would you like to be included in our business directory? But that's a really good point, Bill. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah, I was thinking that one of the things that we could use this list for is soliciting donations or support for the Hamlet, and not more so that than publishing a directory. Publishing a directory, I can't get my head around right this minute. Just getting a list is taking me a while, but that is a good point too. Yes.
Hey, Cheryl, and you had sent that out to everyone, an email to the board. And I clicked on it because I wanted to see your list. And I just got a screen like full of numbers and letters. So do I have to like maybe sign in to get it? It was very odd. I mean, I didn't get a list. Let me just put it that way. So could you maybe send to me or the board a new file, and I'll try it again? And if it happens again, I can take a picture and then send it to everybody about what I'm getting.
Bill, do you know, does she have to be logged into Dropbox?
it shouldn't be. It should be that just a Dropbox file is just a file, and you click on it and you get it on your computer, and then you can open it on your computer, and your computer will handle opening it up and interpreting it. And if it's like an Excel or a .xls file,
Right.
then that should be opened by Excel or on Apple devices numbers. But it would, it's handled locally as soon as you download the file to your own computer.
Okay. I think I have it. No, I don't have it right here. Would you mind, Cheryl? No rush, sending it out again. Let me attempt it again, because I know sometimes I have to click a button that says, log in to Dropbox. Then I can open things. And I thought I did it properly, but boy, I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be very nice. Okay. Thank you. I'd love to see that. Okay. I think we're moving along then. Joe, were you able to attend, or have you had the Clackamas Soil and Water District Conservation District meeting?
They have not had the meeting yet. The meeting will be on Tuesday.
Tuesday, okay.
And of course, I will not be there.
Right, you're out of town.
Yes.
And Jessica, are you busy as well? No, you're going. Okay, Jessica's on it for the community meeting report, which you won't be at.
Great.
So, no, you attend Tuesday and shoot me an email and give me a couple highlights and I'll report for you, no problem.
Thank you.
Of course,
do that.
of course, okay. All right, so Jessica, Joe, did you have anything else you wanted to report tonight? No, okay, beautiful. Jessica, you're on.
All right, so I sent out the January meeting minutes for the board meeting and the town hall for your review approximately 1 week ago. Hopefully that was enough time for you to review. Are there any comments at this point for the previous meeting minutes from last month?
If there are no corrections, we can accept them by acclamation.
What does that mean?
It means they're accepted. They're officially, we don't have to vote. If there are no corrections, we don't have to vote. We just accept them by acclamation, which is the same as voting in favor.
Okay.
Okay, so
and then, sorry, then the November of 2022 meeting notes, after I had submitted them, I had received a comment and correction, which I had sent out in red line to the board, along with the rest of the January minutes. I don't know if that's something that we can review and resubmit, or what's the procedure for that if there's something that's caught after the meeting minutes have been submitted to the county.
I'm going to defer to Bill, but honestly, Jess, I don't think we need to do really anything. I mean, we can just resubmit them to the county, but as long as you've made the correction and shared it with the board, you can just resubmit and let them know it's a resubmittal.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think that
Okay.
because we're an advisory board and we advise the county, and it's just advisory, we don't carry any weight at all. If we revise our minutes and it gets recorded, that's fine. It doesn't have to be a big deal. So.
Awesome, thank you.
Great.
Okay, February, yes, okay, so the community meeting for next Wednesday, I unfortunately will not be able to attend. I've created a how-to for the owl.
Gorgeous 7-page how-to, absolutely wonderful. And I know it's wonderful because I understood like 95% of it.
Oh,
So
well, that's good. That's a good.
I did. I went through and I was like, okay, I know what that is. So Jessica, thank you for doing that, but please share what we're going to do.
Yes, so I have asked Rachel to step in for my shoes during the meeting for next week, and she has graciously applied to this role temporarily in my absence. We have an in-person training scheduled. Thank you very much, Tammy, for getting that scheduled for this coming Tuesday at 8 a.m. To go over essentially that living document in person, to make sure that there's any questions. I have a troubleshooting guide at the end, just in case. I've been working with Jason, the Clackamas Soil and Water Conservation District IT person, to essentially make sure that what happened last time doesn't happen again. So essentially, I think the big lessons learned is, just so everyone's aware, if it does happen again, unplug the owl from power and from the laptop for at least 20 to 30 seconds to make sure that's dead before plugging it back in. And then just to avoid that in the future, hopefully, is if we could have everyone stay in their seats, because that's the, I think, main difference between how the Clackamas Soil and Water Conservation District Board meetings go and how ours went last time, is that we had a lot more people moving around in different locations with respect to the owl and moving and gestures, and let's try to minimize that to avoid the situation that we happened last time. Does that make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so what that means is, even though I asked everyone to come up to the podium and speak, they didn't. And I think that caused a bit of a problem because we weren't getting people picked up. So if they need to make a comment or have a question, they can do that, but they've got to come to the podium or they can't. That's just it. We have to respect those coming in virtually. And then if we have like a guest speaker, We'll have them come up to the front. We'll have another little table and ask them to stand in front of the table and not walk around. And I think between those kinds of things, we should calm the owl down. That being said, also, I'm understanding that they've now gotten both owls working, and that should help a lot too. So.
You're right. Any other questions or comments regarding the effort for next week?
One more. Mark, would you be up for handling the safety topics? Okay, that would be great. May I make a recommendation? You know how Jessica put on the whiteboard what people are willing to volunteer for? Could maybe we do that like before the meeting starts? Like, you know, Cheryl, will you call 911? Bill, will you do CPR? And then we can just let people know these are the people that have volunteered. Because I know people are like, I don't know if I should or not. So I think we can make it go real slick and then spend more time on our safety feature of the meeting, if that's okay. Okay, that'd be great. Okay, so Mark, you're on safety, and anything else, Jess?
No, obviously Clackamas Soil Water Conservation District meeting is for next Tuesday. Safety topics, I don't have like a repository. I just have whatever is feeling good that month or whatever is like cropped up in my life or I've heard. Mark, I've heard that you have a repository of from your past life. So maybe if we can tap into some of that, if you're willing for something like that, we can partner up on that. So
okay, maybe like don't chase the Easter bunny down the middle of the highway. So do you want to just come up with something, Mark, or do you want to discuss it here first?
Well, I can come up with something on the
Okay.
fly, real easy.
okay, yeah, I think just from this past month, if I were to be there on Wednesday, I'd like to talk about fentanyl because I learned about the importance and like and what unfortunately our kids are going through. Our kids, right? I don't have kids, but you know what I mean. That students are going through in like schools today and with drugs and all that fun stuff. So I'm on a fentanyl rant right now.
Well,
I just want everyone to know like what to look out for and that it's horrible. So
Can you do that, Mark?
Well, this week they confiscated 95 pounds of fentanyl, which is enough to do well over 1 million people deaths.
yeah.
So it is a ongoing thing. Yes.
Oh,
Not a
if you
problem.
could speak to that, that would be fabulous. Maybe get up to speed on what you know, parents and adults should be looking for.
And it's a conversation, I think, with kids too.
And it still needs to stay within 30 to 60 seconds worth of safety moments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, that's all I had. Thanks, Tammy.
Narcan for all.
Okay.
And just to let you know, Narcan, they're doing a vote in our current legislature in Oregon to have it so that you can just go to the pharmacy and get it. It doesn't have to be a prescription. So let's hope that gets through the vote on the legislature.
Very good.
Be wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Jess. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Mark. Okay, Rachel, I hope your little one's feeling better. Was there anything that you would like to bring up this evening? And we all thank you for being Jessica 2 next Wednesday. Hopefully our Tuesday's training will make you feel super comfortable.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Definitely.
Good.
Nothing else to add on my part though tonight.
Okay. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you doing that. Okay, did Kenny, just by chance, Jessica, mention anything about C4 or the budget committee or anything?
No, he hasn't.
Okay. We'll I'll maybe touch bases with him and for the community meeting.
Fantastic, thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, Mark. Park stuff.
Mostly I don't have anything new to report other than that Tuesday night we had the drawings on the Valentine's baskets that were put out there.
I didn't win.
Yes, but Jack was there and Jack was the puller of all of the tickets for each one of the baskets. So that was great.
Mhm.
And I should have some kind of report for Wednesday night on who, what, when, and where.
Wonderful. That would be great, Mark. And did Carla do the baskets?
Yes.
And
And
was this?
I wanted some of the
fun-
basket myself, and I didn't get it
They were
either.
gorgeous. Was this a fundraiser for the
Yes.
parks?
Yes.
It was. Okay,
Yeah.
so we might soon see into the trust account under the park heading. Beautiful. Cheryl will, of course, coordinate.
Yep.
Okay, good. Excellent, excellent. It was very, very fun. I actually had dinner, the Valentine dinner at Kiss and Kate's with Jack and a friend. It was very fun, and saw Mark and Cindy, and it was a blast. Okay, one thing I wanted to mention, and I think Patrick Whitmore was almost like shy about it. It was very interesting. I was out in the parking lot one day and he came out and he said, "Did you notice that we had trouble with the tree lighting lights?" And I said, "Yeah, I heard that they didn't make it all the way through." And he goes, "Well, I don't know if it's my place to mention this, but," and I guess he put lights up. Yes. And he goes, "I had no problem with them. You can get them in whatever colors." He said they're super, super, super strong and hardy, and they're LED. And I said, "Well, did you tell Mark?" And he was like, "Or you could." I'm like, "Okay." So.
We've had that discussion with Patrick and
Okay.
the couple that donated are attached to Wilco. So we've got a string of 1,000 feet and we have 700 feet of light bulbs. So, and those are the exact same thing that Patrick has on his saloon.
Oh, okay.
So we
That's
know
good to
they
know.
will handle the environment.
Good. Okay, that's fabulous. Bill?
So this is about the sort of the park, but I don't know where it fits in. The Beavercreek Bulletin sign at the park looks really grody. It looks just nasty. And it doesn't look good for us, and it doesn't look good for the Beavercreek Bulletin. And I don't know if we need to get Melissa to do something or whether we want to do something. But it's on an old realtor sign.
post.
It's that realtor sign, the white plastic realtor sign that's hanging there, but the sign itself is just decaying and it looks really nasty. And I just wanted to bring it up because it looks ugly, and people drive up there and they see this ugly sign, and
I
don't know.
will ask Melissa and Dylan if they would attend to that.
Well, I don't know if they want to or if we want to do
Right.
something too, but I just wanted to bring it up because it's our park and it's their sign and it doesn't look good. So that's
The parks,
Okay.
it's on our list with the Parks Committee to address.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Okay. Do you want to ask? Because, Dylan always loves a little project. He did the library thing, and he might be a wonderful candidate to take care of that, just to do it. So,
We'll probably reach out to him, and
Okay.
if he wants to volunteer the time, absolutely awesome. And if
Perfect.
he doesn't, then the committee will take care of it.
great. Mark, did you make any progress on your plastic covers for the, did you order them or anything for
I just gotta get them up next week.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Wow, kicking. All right, Bill, you are on.
okay. So the Region 1 Area Council on Transportation met on the 6th of February. And one of the big things that happened was we have a lot of new members on the commission because a lot of those people are elected. And so with a lot of elections, we had people leaving because they weren't reelected and stuff like that. I have the list if anybody wants it, but it's not that interesting. So that was one of the first things that happened. We also looked at the stiff application review process. We did this summary of the recommendations, which were everything that was appropriate. We recommended approval of. We don't know how that's going to be because it's so much more than the money that we have, but we recommended approval of all of that stuff. We looked at the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program and the first year corridors, which are going to be I-5 and I-84, to put high-speed charging along those corridors. The carbon reduction program call for projects. The Oregon Department of Transportation has a carbon reduction program, and it's, all kinds of things that reduce carbon. And that was basically it. Ryan Winsheimer, who's the Region 1 director, gave us a little report about what's happening. Lots of stuff happening along the old Cascade highway that, goes out the gorge and stuff like that. That's becoming almost complete. The reconstruction of that's almost complete. So that's a great thing. And that's about it for the R1 Act. The CPO Summit will meet on the 27th.
Okay.
So it hasn't happened yet. The CCI, Clackamas County Committee for Community Involvement, meets on the 21st. So it's not happening.
I do want to thank you, Bill, for sending Bill Flood's report.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through it, and I really am encouraging the entire board to read it. It's a very quick read, to be honest, and I'm learning a lot more than I realized. I mean, I knew about CPOs and advisory boards and commissions, but I didn't know about a lot of other things that are out there, that are resources. And so far, I've only disagreed with 2 things, so that's not bad. But thank you for sharing that, Bill. And
certainly,
may I give you my feedback? Would that be the appropriate avenue?
I don't know. I'm trying to think about this.
I mean, are you going to have an active discussion on CCI about it that you could say,
Well,
my board?
That brings up the topic. I'm going to be out of town for next week, mostly. I'm leaving Saturday and getting back Wednesday late.
Okay.
So I may miss our meeting on Wednesday. I don't know. I'll try to make it if I can, but if I don't, I'm flying back. So there's that. For the CCI thing.
When is it? When is your meeting?
That's the CCI meeting's on the 21st. I'm going to miss that one too.
Oh.
See.
Oh.
But you can send it to me and I'll send it to Karen Bjorklund, or you can send it to Karen Bjorklund directly, or
I could send to you, Karen, and even Rick Cook, and then Rick could maybe take part of his time to bring it up. Okay, I will definitely do that, because I'm so far it's informative. I haven't gotten to the point of here's what we need to do, so we shall see. But
yeah, I haven't finished reading it either. It's a long report. It's not difficult, but it is a long report, and I'm still reading it myself.
Okay.
The Community Road Fund Advisory Committee is meeting on the 23rd. Hey, things are coming up. I'll have a lot to report next time.
Yes, you will.
The BCT, we met on the 8th and we had a nice meeting. It was very quick, one of our shortest meetings ever, because we're going to be going out of town. A lot of the board is going out of town next week to go to the NTCA, which is the National Telephone Cooperative Association. All the cooperative telephone organizations in the country get together for this meeting, and lots of stuff's going on, and I've got lots of things to attend while I'm down there. It's in San Diego, so I'll be down there in San Diego doing that and learning lots of stuff. The good news is we did not lose money last year.
Good.
We actually made a little bit of money last year, which is great. It's the first time in a long time that we've made money. So there's that. As I know I've told you that we've applied for the RUS, or Rural Utility Services loan to bring fiber to the home throughout Beavercreek. We still haven't heard about that, but we're hopeful. And the only other thing I wanted to talk about before I get to the website is letters for the sign. I have no idea how we should do this. For some letters, we've got lots of letters. We've got lots of T's, for example. T's just aren't used very much. So we've got a ton of T's, but we have almost no E's because E is the most used letter in the alphabet, and all of our E's are either old or, you know, aging or whatever. So I need some direction. Should I try to find, should I try to purchase individual letters by how much we've got? Or should
If
I
you can.
purchase the whole alphabet again?
If you can do it, can you do individual? Because it may be more cost effective, because then we'd have, you know, if you only need like 10 different letters,
Right.
then it may not be nearly as expensive than buying 10 of the whole alphabet. So if you could pull that one
Well-
off, Bill. And then also Dirk, did he ever say he'd do that, Mark, or do we know yet? Mark?
You're on
you're on
mute.
I'm
Oh,
muted,
there it is.
yeah. We're looking into it and taking care of it.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Okay, would you mind, Bill, seeing if you can get individual?
I can try to find that out. or
Okay.
not. I haven't found that out yet, but I'll find that out. And Rachel had a question about tolling. There's no real update on tolling. Like I have said before, the entire commission is against tolling. All of the local mayors are against tolling. Nobody is in favor of tolling except ODOT. And they're full steam ahead. So it's just one of those things. We'll see what happens.
There's also a referendum getting
Mhm.
steam starting to boil on that one, where that if it gets up there, it would actually require that all the legislature must put it to the vote of the people when any tollings are involved.
Ooh.
They cannot
That's-
vote on it themselves. They have to put it to the people.
And that is in this legislative session. We'll see where it gets in this legislative session. As you know, it's easy to kill stuff in the legislative session, and it may never see the light of day, but it
If
is there. And a
If
lot of
it's in a
people.
referendum, then it is a vote of the people telling the legislature what to do. And that I look for a light of hope.
Well, it looks like you two are launching right onto transportation stuff, but before you do, website, Bill, how
Yes.
you doing? Did Melissa ever give you her 1 hour a week?
No, the answer is no. She said, "Oh, I've got this. Paul will get in touch with you." Paul
Okay.
never got in touch with me.
I will follow up.
Well, I'm not going to be here next week, so he doesn't
Right.
need to get in touch with me next week.
I'll let her know
But-
that you're not here, but could we schedule something for the week after? Okay.
Yeah, because it's.
And I
I
didn't
mean,
tell everybody.
I'm learning a lot about WordPress. It's really a fantastic program. You can do so much, but I'm also finding out that I can do stuff on my iPad that I can't do on my computer, and I can do stuff on my computer that I can't do on my iPad. And I have no idea why. It's just, you know,
That would
it's
be nice.
WordPress in either case, but WordPress on the computer works differently than WordPress on the iPad. And, you know,
So
I do want to say that I have, because we have, our website is not very useful right now. I have put on the first page of our website both of our meetings and registration for both of our meetings, so that if anybody wants to register for the meetings, they can register for this one or they can register for the next one. I updated the agendas for this meeting today so that people could again get the updated agenda, which is, you know, theoretically, again, sort of gets back to one of the things I said earlier. We're an advisory committee, and so I think we have a little bit more leeway than if we were a real part of the county, although we are all agents of the county and we have to meet the open meetings laws and follow all of those rules. We slide a little bit because we don't have our agenda set 10 days in advance, and we don't, sometimes we change it right before the last minute, but I did post the current agenda on the website. So if anybody wanted to go to it, they could find it. And it's,
And I'll
It's-
get you the community meeting agenda by tomorrow, Bill.
Yeah.
So, okay,
and
so
to-
I'll follow up.
I was going to say, I'll take down the sign that says that we're going to have the board meeting and put up the mixed meeting. And I'll do that tomorrow so that we'll be able to get that up, and it will be up for people to attend the meeting next week.
Fabulous. So I asked Melissa, as you all know, Logan, who created the website and is a WordPress person, and just told her that we've had volunteers willing to help, but they don't, and we need help. And so she contributed 1 hour of one of her WordPress people to work with Bill 1 hour once a week. So to answer any questions, to guide through, but that just doesn't seem to have linked up. So hopefully by the time Bill gets back, we'll get that link happening so we can get this wrapped up. But anyway, Bill, thank you. That is the first time I have ever heard you use the word fantastic in conjunction with WordPress. So I know you're making progress. So yay. Okay, let's keep launching. Mark, Bill, anything more on transportation, whether that be Beavercreek Road 213 or anything else? Okay, all right, let's move right along. Bill and I did attend the Public and Government Affairs. It was the second meeting for the Hamlets because we started in December 15th and it ran over, so we finished up January 23rd. Not really a lot to report there, just that they are not, even though we encourage them to allow us to do our quarterly reports at the Board of County Commissioner business meetings. PGA just really feels that they should just do that quarterly in writing to them from all the hamlets. So they want us to go back to annual reports to the Board of County Commissioners, which is very sad, but it is what it is. I'm not going to spend any more energy on it. Okay, we need to continue to make.
Hey, Tammy?
progress. Yes.
Do they have an explanation as to why they believe that?
They just feel it's more efficient and effective. And no, and we pushed. I mean, we were like,
Otherwise, okay.
yeah, when we've gone in front of them, I would go every quarter and give an update. There are certain commissioners very engaged, always complimentary, always questions, some not. And so I think those that were not as engaged just felt that they didn't need to waste their time with us. That's really the perception I got. So that's what I know. So it's too bad, and things can change in the future. So we'll see. We just want to keep really on the forefront the Grange hybrid meetings. Again, we have Wi-Fi, so yay. We still need to be thinking about purchasing an owl, a PC, a the projector may work fine, and a larger screen. So we need to really kind of get that. We've got to get that thinking and purchasing. We'll be getting our budget from the county July 1. But we may need to be using some of our own funds to get this done. So we want to think about maybe a subcommittee that could be doing some shopping for an owl, shopping for a big 10 by 10 screen, shopping for, what else did I say? Oh, a PC. So is there anybody that would like to take that on as I'm shopping and this is what I have found? Anybody?
I'd like to use. So my brother's a kind of a laptop PC guru person. So I'd like to use his. Tell him what we're trying to do.
Yep.
Where we're trying to do it, and he's really good about finding something that works in the current budget. So as long as I have a budget and the requirements, I'm gonna use my brother.
Okay, and you remember, Jess, when you and I met at Clackamas Soil with Jason? And he gave us lots of really good advice also, and said that he had no problem giving input on anything we were thinking about. So it might be very cool to bounce stuff off of him as well.
Yep.
It's like one of the things he was adamant about is do not get anything less than the OWL version 3. Do you remember that? Yeah.
I do.
So why don't we use him as a an active user, and it would be great. Jess, if you would do that, and I would be really happy to be on your subcommittee to help with this process.
Okay. Well, like I
Okay.
said, I was just gonna take on the laptop side of things. I don't know if other people
Okay.
can take on the other,
Okay.
maybe like the laptop and owl. And then if someone wants to
Yeah.
take on the projector.
And the version 3 owl is really what we're looking at on that
Yeah.
one. I don't know that there's anything complicated. As you remember, Jason brought it up and said there's one right there. So, okay. And then the other thing is the screen. I'm actually really happy to take that one on.
Okay.
There used to be a big one at the Grange. So I'll find out about a screen through Pam. And if not, I'll do some shopping. So I feel like at these board meetings, we need to be reporting on progress to be heading to the Grange at some point. Okay. All right. Next thing is, okay. In working with Stacy Davenport and now also Holly, we are just flat not going to be allowed to use the county's computer system to do backup. Jessica's idea of getting all of our forms and our reports and everything backed up that we all use to make this happen, a way to back this up. And they just said no. They've gone to IT. They've had numerous conversations. They keep coming back saying, we're just not going to give you access to be dumping stuff in there. So I believe, Bill, did you not create a Hamlet Dropbox?
I have and pay for a personal Dropbox.
Okay.
I have a personal Dropbox account, and I have created a shared file system called the Hamlet of Beavercreek in my personal Dropbox account.
Can
And
an entity have a Dropbox? Does it have to be tied to a human, or can it be the Hamlet of Beavercreek has a Dropbox and we pay an annual fee to have it?
I think that that's possible, but I want to present something else as well.
Okay.
I'm involved with a lot of other things, as you know. And one of the things that I'm involved with uses Google Drive. And I think
Yes.
Jessica knows about Google Drive
Yep.
because she's sending us all kinds of stuff from Google Drive. So it might be possible for the Hamlet to have a Google Drive, which is a virtual disk drive that we could all access and put stuff on and take stuff off and share stuff and stuff like that. So I think that that's another possibility that is in some ways better than me personally having a Dropbox account. I've been using that because when we first started doing the website, that's what occurred to me because I already had the Dropbox account. But a shared Google Drive that is owned by the Hamlet of Beavercreek, and I say owned in quotes because Google owns the disk space someplace in the cloud. So who
Right.
knows where it is? It might be in Rio de Janeiro for all we know. But that might be the better way to go for
Okay.
things like that.
And
I'm
honestly,
curious.
I've used both, and Google Drive for me personally, much easier. Mark.
I'm curious as to the county and the rationale for not when we are in an agency and they have an
I
obligation.
know. And
And
Mark, I have argued it every way that
the
you're
county
supposed to be
lawyers
doing all
also,
this for us anyway, and you're supposed to be, and they just said, we are not going to give you access. Bill.
So if the county is going to maintain records,
Mhm.
public records for the Hamlet as an agent of the county, they don't have to give us access as long as we can send them stuff.
Mhm.
And if we send them links to stuff, then they're responsible for maintaining the link, maintaining the content of the link. And that means on their computers rather than in the cloud, because if we have a file in Google Drive and we send this link to the file on Google Drive to the county and they say, this is the record of our meeting, that's a record. And then the county is responsible for maintaining that record. And that doesn't mean it's on Google Drive, it's on the county's drives because they're responsible. If they maintain it on the Google Drive, it might disappear. Who knows? You know, Google might get hacked.
Yeah.
But it's really the county's responsibility for maintaining public records.
Yes, and I find it interesting that they want to dance around and say they're not when they actually are.
Well, I think that maybe the thing is they don't want to give us right access to their space. And I can understand that because if you give somebody right access, they can also erase. And that could be devastating if some rogue member of the Hamlet decided to go and erase the county's website listings, that could be a real problem. So I
Yes.
can understand their reluctance on letting us have right access to that. But I think that the idea that they have to take what we send them and maintain it on their systems is something that we should push for because they are the keeper of record.
Yes, I
Bill, I'd
agree
like
with Bill.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that. So I've made that very clear. I think after you brought this up sometime last year, in all of my responses to these are the meeting minutes for whatever, I have a please save this to your archives. So then I think we're covered, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, yes, this is on my Google Drive, but I have a essentially a PSA of now you guys have to put it on yours.
Right.
I haven't received confirmation that they have.
And you know,
but that's okay.
and frankly, it doesn't really matter because again, like I said earlier, we're not making life and death decisions here. And if somebody erases our records, oh well, you know, it's not that big a deal. But to comply with state law, they are the keeper of record, and that has to be reinforced to them every time.
And
We send them
my
something,
memory,
they have to maintain it.
my memory served that the reason it was important to us was if there's a record request at the county for something that we're involved in, and believe you me, it has happened,
Mhm.
that we say, nope, everything that we do that is business oriented goes to the county. If the county doesn't have it, don't look at us because we send it to them as required. Therefore, they can't require all of us to be going into our personal computers trying to find all this stuff. And
Exactly.
that was really the document part of it. What I believe Jessica had brought up is we all, Cheryl, Jessica, all of us, Bill, we all have all these letterhead and forms and reports, not like minutes, but that we all keep. And it would be really nice to have it in one location. So, you know, if we had a new secretary that they could go in and see what is there, what forms and processes, and you know, Cheryl and Jessica have now written manuals on how to do things. Let's not lose these things. So that's really, we just don't want to get into the having to get records for record requests.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that the Google Drive idea for the Hamlet having a Google Drive, I don't know, Jessica, you know about Google Drive a lot more than I do. Can the Hamlet have a Google Drive account?
Yeah, I think you have to create your own Google account for it. I think you have to have your own like Gmail account. So we might have to create one for the Hamlet, and that we all have username and password too.
That'd be great.
Part of all of this is that we are agents of the county and we are supposed to have a layer of protection because of that. And the county cannot usurp that whole idea.
Yep. Mark, if you want to take this on, I've spent almost a year trying to get them to give me something. They won't
Believe
do it.
me, it's a
So-
lot easier to deal with that when you're dealing with private entities and the power of that liabilities, where government entities think that they are exempt from that kind of idea, even though when it comes into a long drawn out decade of lawsuits, they end up losing.
Cheryl?
Is there a cost associated with this? No?
It's an insignificant cost, if any. I mean, I'm paying money to Dropbox, my own money for Dropbox, and I'm sharing Dropbox with the Hamlet. That's not ideal. It would be
For
better.
the county has it, all that's all set up, and they're supposed to be in a position to present that for us.
Okay, let's keep launching. So anyone willing to look into Google Dropbox, creating a Hamlet email, putting us all in, getting passwords, blah, 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 whatever it takes, because we need to begin to think about the process of getting our stuff in there. And I mean, I have huge Word files full of, you have 2 dogs there.
I'm sorry.
No.
I was trying to move in the background without you guys seeing me. That didn't work.
Sorry.
Oh, did it back
It's
up?
my niece.
Oh, niece, okay. So, Jess, would you look into that just to find out what it would take for Hamlet? That would be incredibly kind. Thank you so much. Okay, next thing is, I did finally stop by the Forest Edge Winery, which is actually closed in January and February, but Ron was out working and he's one of the owners. So he and I had a long conversation. Not only I'm asking him to help sponsor that horse driving competition I'm going to have out here, but then we had a longer conversation about coming together with the Hamlet and helping each other with fundraising and stuff. And he loved the idea. And I had told him that Bill and Bonnie had chatted with he and Jan about it. And so I have a meeting with the 2 of them to really begin to go down how to make this work. What does Stafford do? What the vision would be? They have some lovely, a Chardonnay and a couple reds, both a Pinot Noir and a Merlot that I think would fit the bill. So that's starting. I feel the nudge, the rocks are breaking away and we're starting to move. They are really interested in being involved with us. So and hopefully they're going to host the wine and cheese at the horse driving competition. So I'm kind of excited about that too. Okay, I emailed you all stuff from Kathy Lotman, 10 o'clock church, about their Earth. Well, it was last year Earth Day, and now they're calling it Earth Festival. Last year they did it in April, and it was a big deal. They did something on Friday and Saturday. This year they're only going to do it on Saturday. And they did it in April, but it was so close to Easter, it kind of messed everything up, them being a church and everything. So they're doing it May 20th. And they have a lot of people that are coming together. Their disaster preparedness, county sustainability, recycling, solar. The scouts will be there. The fire department will be there. They'll probably have like a food truck. It's on Saturday, May 20th, 9 to 4. And I sent you all, what I sent you was the email, last year's flyer, and last year's big, like huge data dump on everything that went on Friday and Saturday. So, we all made a goal of reaching out and supporting and then participating in events. And I would like to see one of us there, at least one, if not 2 of us. It's May 20th. It's absolutely positively perfect to have a table and maybe either sell or give away the vegetable starts that are popular at that time, which would be tomato, cucumber, squash, green bean. Those are all at that time of the year. Those are the things that go in the ground. I think we could find a nursery, maybe in Hamlet area, that would either donate or sell at a super cheap price and participate in this. I mean, it's Earth Day, and I think this is one of the things I would like to see the Hamlet involved in with the 10 o'clock church. So please share with me your thoughts, Bill.
Just as a bit of background, maybe 10 years ago, maybe longer than that ago, the Hamlet participated in Earth Day by giving away fluorescent bulbs. I don't remember if you guys remember that.
I do remember that now.
But we gave away fluorescent screw-in light bulbs because they were so much more energy efficient. And that was before we had LEDs everywhere, but it was, just the Hamlet has been participating with Earth Day for a long time. And I think it's great if we can participate with the 10 o'clock church again.
Yeah,
That would
they
be
really
super.
want us there. Yeah. Yep.
So I will I'll tentatively raise my hand.
Oh, thank you, Bill. And I will bring this up at the community because maybe instead of board, maybe a couple of community members would like to do this. And we can help them to find a nursery that would supply some of these vegetable starts. Jessica.
Yeah, so I don't want to jump ahead of Rachel. I know that she's also.
Oops.
in the
Sorry,
chat.
Rachel. I was ignoring you. I feel horrible. May 20th. Is there a time? Yes, 9 to 4, right there at 10 o'clock church. And it would be, we would go up. We'd probably take our big welcome to the Hamlet of Beavercreek green sign, have a table cover, bring in several trays of veggie starts and either sell them or give them away. I think it would be a super fun, easy thing and be a part of Earth Day. Jessica?
And I would like to also.
Oh, volunteer.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh. I think it would be a blast. And there's
thinking
food,
the more the
always
merrier.
gets me there.
Yeah.
Okay. Jess, I mean, no, not Jess. Rachel, are you interested in volunteering? Don't know yet. Sorry. Okay. What about donating? Ooh, tree buds to plant. Yeah, we can donate. We can give away anything. That'd be a great idea, Rachel. Let me get that.
I love the idea. I would love to participate with whoever else is doing it as well. I think that's great.
I think this is the way we're involved in Clackamas Soil and the Saloon and the Grange, and 10 o'clock was another goal of this board, is to be all inclusive in our community. So yay. All right, we'll talk about this at the community meeting. Well, let's see. Now we're finally down to the Hamlet meeting, and I realized like 2 seconds ago that I'd forgotten to send you all the draft. So on your email, if any of you can look at your email, I sent you the draft community meeting agenda. Nothing earth shattering, just that it's at Clackamas Soil and Water. And we have, Bill, and I think you'll appreciate this, under call to order and welcome, then I put reminders, charging stations available, cell phones turned off, use podium to speak or ask questions, look and talk to the owl, virtual visitors use chat to speak or ask questions, gates close at 8, pull up to the right gate. So those were all those little reminders I did, but I got them in writing on the agenda. So I think that'll be helpful. Then we have a safety report actually from Mark this time. And again, we want to say thanks to Lisa because, she's there all evening and being very nice. Our guest speakers are Brett Glover, and he's the captain of our fire station there on Beavercreek Road. And that's just to do his quarterly fire station report. So Joe Merrick, did you all see the email? So for months, last time I think he spoke with us was August or September. And every time we have a meeting, I keep a big Joe Merrick transportation list, especially from Mark. And I'm sure you saw the huge email of all the things we want to visit with Joe about. I doubt he can get through all of that, but I think we could ask him to hit most of it, like quickly. But I would like him to speak to a lot of this. So did you all get through the email, and did you have anything I missed? There better not be. And got it all, got Sisters, I got the Leland Road. Okay, good. All right, I think before I send this to Joe, I'm gonna call him and calm him down and then send it. So yeah.
Just keep in mind that people will be having questions. And as part of his response time to those questions, you don't want to schedule too little time for him to also answer questions.
I mean, you're right, Bill. And Joe isn't a succinct speaker. He likes to be really thorough. So what we may need to do is orchestrate that with Joe. Would you please give your report? And then let's spend 10 or 15 minutes on questions, because otherwise we're going to have
And-
another fire department.
And
problem.
have his email on the agenda so that people can send him questions from, people who,
Ooh,
you know.
ooh, good. Ooh, love that. His email address. Love it. Rachel,
Yes, I thought it looked wonderful, by the way. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for sending that. Very thorough. Yes. My only thing that I thought of today after speaking with my husband is the construction that they're doing on Beavercreek Road, across from the high school and as well as the community college. Those, I don't know if this is a him question or if maybe it's something that I need to just be more patient about, but those lights, I don't know if they're temporarily just triggered, incorrectly, if that's just kind of part of the process, or they take forever. Those lights, they turn red randomly, and then traffic, the pile up from those lights just staying red for an obscene amount of time, at rush hour time. It's becoming a lot, and I'm just curious if he would be the right one to ask about that, or
absolutely. He is our transportation representative at the
Okay.
county. And I mean, we have Mike Besner and others, but Joe he's kind of stepped up to this job. And no, that's a perfect thing to bring on. May I ask just for clarification? You're
Mhm.
talking on Beavercreek Road. You're having to sit on Beavercreek through long red lights?
correct, the
Okay, I
temporary
understand.
system, yes, the community
See?
college and the high school, it's crazy.
That's
How long?
why I wanted you guys to look at this, because
Yes.
this
And-
is the time. And he's going to tell us stuff, and we can add or ask questions, but we have to do it at the end. Otherwise, we'll be there all night. Bill.
So across from the college, they've put in new poles for lights, new poles for stoplights, new poles for street lights. And I think they've also done that at across from the high school. So when are the old poles going to come out? When are the new lights going to start functioning? All those kinds of questions. Good questions to ask, Joe.
Yes.
Definitely, Mark.
A lot of this is patience. When they go through this kind of construction, they'll get everything up, and all they'll do is put it on a timer situation. Later on, they will then put it on to where it's more interactive with the traffic flows during the times of day. But right now, there's so much going on there that all they can do is put it on timers, and the rest of us need patience.
Is it possible for them to kind of update those timers while they're in the middle of the process, or do we really just have to wait? Like, can we suggest to them that, hey, this is triggering at inopportune times? Is there a way that they could make those adjustments, or is it
They
silly for
could,
us to do that?
however, and we can put that to Joe. However, they have probably already taken a look at it and done their best to anticipate traffic flows. But that being said, complaints or requests would be a better way of putting it. I'm sure they'll listen to.
I've seen both sets of those lights being programmed, so they're programming them right now.
Okay.
Yes, they
So
are,
let's bring it
but
up,
it does take time.
because we want to, show Joe that we're really in tune with what's going on out there, and we want to respond to concerns. Okay.
For a four-way
stop.
Okay.
Can you hear my
Jessica,
husband in the background? He's the one that my husband's in the background.
You let him know we care.
I didn't hear his comments though.
Oh no, he's the one that has to sit in it at night. He's getting those lights can be they're more
Oh.
triggering, I think, for people who have been in rush hour.
I'm going through there at 5:30 in the morning, and there's no traffic at all. I'm being stopped by the lights. Yes, I get it.
And then sit there for at least a minute, maybe two.
Yes.
So Jessica, I believe Brett Glover, the station captain, and Joe Merrick will be there in person. But if you would be so kind as to assure that Brett, Joe, and Marcus all get a Zoom link just in case.
Absolutely.
And if you need any email addresses, let me know.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll do.
And then we move on to the land use application, all the decisions. Hold on, can't turn the page. I got the updated treasurer's report. Thank you, Cheryl. And then Bill will talk about BCT, and Bill and Mark will talk about anything regarding transportation.
Bill will not talk about BCT because Bill may not be there.
Oh, may not be, but if you're not, that's okay. We'll just say he's off gallivanting in San Diego. And then
Flying back.
Clackamas Soil would actually it will be me, because if Jessica attends, then I'll say something there. Old business will be website update. Again, Bill may not be there. Park activities, just a reminder, Mark. And then Grange, and that's it. Okay, I want to talk about guest speakers, because I don't have any for March or April. So I asked Holly Krecky to get code enforcement in March, and she said she would like to do that. Bill.
Krejci.
Okay. Rachel.
Yes, I don't know if you guys noticed on the Facebook page. I don't know if you're taking suggestions for who a guest speaker should be. That's probably my first question.
I'm always taking suggestions.
I don't know if you guys were on the Facebook page recently about the post office.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was in there. I go in there obviously almost every day, but I was chatting with the gal, and she had some really, great ideas about how, our community could maybe be a little bit more understanding, but also getting involved with their process, and like how to, basically kind of stay ahead of the complaints. I don't know if that would be a good recommendation, to see if they will, volunteer their time to come speak for our community, but that's my idea.
I think it's a great idea. It always blows my mind when I see those, Rachel, because every time I go in,
Makes me sad.
they are so compassionate. So
Yeah.
I have never one time left there feeling anything other than cared for.
Same.
And to see
They call
those
me by
awful comments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's shocking to me that so many people have so many challenges with the post office, but let me see if the post office would come talk to us.
That would be great. Yeah.
Okay, so code enforcement, I asked Holly, and she said, yes, I will ask code enforcement. However, what do you specifically want to hear from code enforcement? That's a really darn good question. We always just have them come and do a general, how is it going? But how about we give Holly 2 or 3 things we'd like to hear from code enforcement?
How about that horse farm on Henrici Road that is completely wrong, completely just absolutely wrong?
The horse stable on Henrici, we'd like an update on that.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
I mean, and why the county has not done anything to stop it, because yeah.
They're not going to stop it, but what have they done? Let's ask, what have you done? Have you fined them on a daily basis? What have you done? Because we'd like to know. Mark.
Well, along with that is, what is the process that the individual citizen needs to follow through on when making a complaint? And then maybe they can give us a step-by-step idea of, once a complaint is made, how it goes through, how they follow up. And is it one complaint and they do something, or does it take 10 complaints, and that kind of thing? So it would be helpful.
Excellent. I know the answers, but I want them to tell us. Bill.
So another thing, just to sort of jab them a little bit with, is why won't you pay attention to the Hamlet's complaints over an individual's complaints? I mean, if the Hamlet brings you a complaint, that's representing 10,000 people.
Okay. No, I will absolutely. And what I'm going to do before, I'll send you all an email so that you all can think about this and maybe add a few more things. And so then I'll send it on to Holly. But this is excellent. Anyone else that you would like to hear? What would you like to learn from code enforcement? Mark.
No, I'm done with code enforcement. I thought you were going on another.
Okay. The next
suggestion.
one is going to be wells, but I already kind of want to know, having the well guy come on and say it's really state, and this is what the state handles, and this is what the county handles. And so that was my April speaker. I mean, all this came from our strategic planning. I'm just engaging it. But post office, good. And then go ahead, Mark.
Another topic would be mental health. And I think Cindy sent you a link along those lines.
She
But
did. Actually, she did.
It is becoming quite a serious topic in the county, in the local community, as well as outside the local community, on how mental health is addressed, approached, and offered up in follow-ups.
Okay. Mental health. And let me just get that, Cindy. Okay. Wow. And Bill.
Sort of back to the wells, and that is water testing. Because most of us out here in the rural areas have our own wells. How do we know that water we're drinking is safe?
Oh, wonderful. I have to do that quarterly for my community, but we're going to let Joe tell you all about that. Perfect. Those are, yeah, the well thing I think is going to be really an easy program, but code enforcement, we could be there for hours. So we really do want to kind of hone in. And please all think about that. I'll get an email out, add a few more things. Let's give Holly a nice list. And I think I see Rachel. Oh, she has a contact at Skiles. Now that might be fun to have the county state representative and have Skiles there. Oh, Rachel, that might be a really fun 2 guest speakers. Let's coordinate. Thank you, Rachel. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, you betcha.
Very good. All right. What else? Let me see if there's anything else. Agenda, guest speakers. Oh, okay. We're down to the really important things. Refreshments. I have not asked my sister to bake more cookies, even though I did share with her that she did a great job. Cheryl, do you want to pick something up with that $100 deal, or do you want, I can pick something up, or?
I can pick up some yummy things.
Okay, just some cookies or some cupcakes or something. Oh, maybe, no, Valentine's gone. Easter cupcakes or something. Oh, I don't know.
Valentine's clearance sales.
Oh, yeah. Oh God. So thank you. Cheryl, do you need anything now, or you'll pick up anything you need, like cups or anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna, now that this is approved, I'm gonna go out and do some.
Well, you got $100. You can just go crazy, girl. Yeah. Okay. All right. The last thing then was registrar. We used to always have a registrar, but it wasn't necessary in Zoom. So I believe Joe and Cheryl, didn't you guys kind of cover that? And so that is really just, it's not just signing people in. You're kind of the first people they're seeing. You want to welcome them, show them where the restroom is, the refreshments, where to sit, get them signed up. I'll bring the map so that if they have any question whether they live in the hamlet, you can have them point on the map where they live. But it's the sign-in sheets. Did you do those, Cheryl?
Yeah, I did. When I took this over from William, here, I need something. The information that he kept track of was person's first and last name, their mailing address, city, state, zip, their email address, their home phone, the date that they, if it was the first time they had been to a meeting, that would be their first date of attending meeting. Then the last meeting they attended, and their street address, if it was different than their mailing address, and cell phone number. That's a lot of stinking information, the majority of which I've never used.
No.
We don't text people, we don't call them, don't need their email address. And he had everybody who had ever attended a meeting, so it was just way too much. I pared that down to, I'll keep 5 years worth of information. That's still too much. So I'm even going to pare that down more. I like the idea of having someone's name printed there so that they can just sign in, with sheets for people who first time being there. If they vet themselves on the map that's there, do we really need their physical address? Is there a need for all of that?
I think having them print their name and sign. I mean, Bill, I know we collected email just for communicating that we never did, Bill.
Well, the only reason that it might be important is if we had a contentious vote that was very close, and we wanted to know if the person actually lived within the hamlet. That's the only thing. I can't remember the last time we had a contentious vote that was really close and that would have made a difference. So I tend to agree with you, Cheryl. We don't need all of that information. And if we do have a contentious vote that requires that kind of information, we can have people after the fact or at the time of voting give their information. I don't think we need to collect it on a regular basis at all.
Well, it is nice to know if they are a citizen of the hamlet or not, because if you're not, then you don't actually get to vote in land use. So
exactly, but
it would let them know you can vote, great, but we don't need all that data. I think Bill and Cheryl are completely right on.
But my point, Tammy, is if
Mhm.
we have a vote that says,
Yeah.
should we recommend approval of this application? And it's 30-0. Now, 30 is a big number. Say it's 30-2. Okay,
We don't
it's
care.
still, I mean, if it was 15-16, that might be important.
Okay.
But if it's 30-0 or 30-2 or 28-2 or whatever, it really doesn't matter. And
I get it.
we're advisory. We're advising the planner that we had a meeting and the people at the meeting said this. And we expect that the people at the meeting were citizens of the hamlet. But if they weren't, it was still overwhelmingly in favor or one way or the other. So it really, I don't think it's necessary personally.
But what do we need? We need to have them just print their name and that's it?
And
Cheryl?
affirm that they are a member of the hamlet. If you say, I am a member of the hamlet, checkbox. Now, if they're not a member of the hamlet, if they have committed perjury and told us that they were a member of the hamlet and they're not, now we can go back and hassle with stuff. But it's ridiculous. It's just really not important.
Cheryl?
What's the process for the people on Zoom? Do they, that information that I see is their email address and a name?
Yeah.
Or is there a vetting process?
So what has been done to date is, like typically if there's someone that's not recognized, I think Tammy, you've been asking them, hey, do you live within the county or the boundary? And then like, even when you're preparing your, we're getting ready to vote on this application, I think you have a little spiel on there of like, if
Well,
you're
all
within
they
the
say
county.
is if you live within the boundary.
Yeah.
And if you have a question, if you weren't sure, I mean, if Amy Manning's on, Amy Manning's on all the time. I don't even question her, and Barbara and Peter but once in a while we get 2 or 3 we don't know, and we say, if you live in the boundary, please vote. If you don't, or you would like us to verify, give us your address. So that's the simple.
Yeah.
But I agree with all of it that but I am going to make one point, and that is we have had very contentious. Do you remember the years of the elections where we had like the Beavercreek grade school full and Bill was chairing, and it was every vote counted, and you better live in the hamlet if you're going to vote for somebody on the board. So those were the days.
But that was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, so not something we need to worry about. Okay, so are Cheryl, Joe, are you guys still willing to sit at the table and Okay, throw.
I won't be here.
And, oh, you
I
won't be
won't.
here.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, Cheryl, you're on it.
all right.
And that's everything I believe I've got.
Hey, I got a question.
Oh, go ahead.
It sounds like there's a bunch of board members missing at this community meeting. Is there a quorum? I can't remember. Is there a required quorum for the board to do
There's
the meeting?
no, I don't think there's required, but there's just you and Bill. Who else?
And
Oh, Jessica.
Jessica.
Great.
Is Kenny gonna be there?
I have not received confirmation.
So there's
Well, we
possibly
have
4 of
8.
us gone.
So is quorum 5 if we have 8, or is 4? Just 4 work? And the only thing with, we can hold a meeting, Joe, without a quorum. We can't make a decision, but 99% of the decisions are made here. So, I mean, we can even vote as a board, even if we don't have a quorum. So it's the board members that are present. Bill, we don't have to have a quorum to have a meeting, do we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think
trying
we're
to
okay.
recall.
I mean, we can't make a decision. If something came up and said, does the board support this? We'd have to hold until a board meeting. So, good point, though. That's a great question. All right. That's everything. That was huge and long. And I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 9:01 p.m. Thanks, everybody. Really, really nice.